Hey everybody, this is Gage with 12 Gauge Geek here, and we're doing another movie review. And this movie we're looking at is Event Horizon. Now, Event Horizon came out in 1997. It was directed by Paul Anderson and stars Lawrence Fishburne, Sam Neill, Richard T. Jones, Joely Richardson, Jason Isaacs, Kathleen Quinlan, and Jack Noseworthy. It's set in the year of 2047, and Event Horizon takes place aboard a ship named the Event Horizon. The Event Horizon had gone missing 7 years prior on its journey to explore the vast reaches of space. It had gone missing just beyond the 8th planet in our solar system, Neptune. USAC vessel Lewis and Clark is sent on a search and rescue mission without knowing what they're actually headed into. Among them is Dr. Weir, played by Sam Neill. The crew is put into cryosleep and after 56 days arrives at their location. Dr. Weir this whole time and prior to had been experiencing hallucinations where he had been seeing a woman named Claire. After explaining to the crew that the ship that they're here to rescue is actually the Event Horizon, and how the ship uses a black hole to basically jump from one point in space to another by punching through a hole in space, the Clark begins to dock onto the horizon. It says, after first sending in 3 of its crew, Captain Miller, the medical officer Peters, and baby bear Justin. Upon entry to the ship, it appears abandoned, so the 3 of them split up. Miller heads to medical, Justin to engineering, and Peters to the bridge. It says Peters, in her search on the bridge, gets bumped by an eyeless body, and it's actually a pretty decent jump scare. You know, the body's missing its eyes, it looks all torn up. There's a debate on if it was decompression, I think, sickness or not. But anyway, so Justin in engineering approaches the core's gravity drive, and this is where the movie really starts to get wild. It says the core pretty much turns into a portal that he gets yanked into, causing a massive explosion on the horizon, which damages the Lewis and Clark that's docked to it as well. Justin is pulled back out of this point by Cooper, who's luckily, Justin was tethered out of the portal, which was lucky for him, and the crew is ordered onto the Event Horizon to assess damage control for their ship. It's determined that their ship is beat and that repairs are needed before they can actually leave, which are going to take about approximately 20 hours. Over the course of the next few scenes, arguments ensue and answers are demanded from Dr. Weir as to the whereabouts and what's actually going on the Event Horizon. As the crew splits through different sections of the ship, they soon begin to experience horrific hallucinations, such as Peters even seeing her own son. And after a gravity core power surge, Justin begins to seize and comes to long enough to actually say the word dark. Eyes all blacked out and everything. Weir is experiencing another one of his Claire hallucinations somewhere else on the ship as he tries to analyze the cause of the surge, while on the other hand, Miller is in the gravity core drive of the ship, experiencing his own hallucination, seeing a man that's burnt and flaming. At this point, the crew gets together and begins to all explain what one another is seeing, and they're actually, telling each other that they're all seeing hallucinations, there's something going on here, something's not right on this ship. Which is, I actually like that, because in most movies I feel like they actually, people will hide it from each other, where this, everybody comes out, so everybody knows that this ship is weird. But anyway, several scenes later, Justin goes missing from the medical bed that he was on, and it seems that he is caught in the airlock, and he doesn't have a suit on. he seems to be possessed and rambling on about the places he's been to and the things he's seen. He says he's not going back there, this and this and that, while all the while the rest of the crew is trying to just get him to actually come back inside the ship. He then, presses the airlock, which lets his body get sucked out, and all the blood gets sucked out of him in Zero G, it's pretty cool. It's like, I think one of the only Zero G deaths that I can think of seeing in a movie like that. He starts bleeding from his eyes, it starts pulling out. It's pretty graphic and looks actually really painful. But fast forward a bit later, and you're seeing Miller again. He's hearing voices on the ship, basically begging him not to leave. He goes and he tells another member of this ship, DJ, that this is happening to him, and he says there's somehow the ship knows things that it shouldn't know, and that he's never told anyone this. And DJ tells Miller that he believes the ship has traveled to places beyond. He ponders the horrors the ship has seen, the hells it's been through, and what it could have possibly brought back with it. It's shortly after that the Fool's captain's log is encrypted, and now you can see the madness that actually happened to the crew before. It looks like they're all just kind of, it's like a big gore fest is what I would call it, and it just doesn't look good for them. And immediately after seeing that video, Miller says, "We're leaving," says, "I'm gonna blow this ship up." And Dr. Weir protests for some reason, stating that he is home, which is definitely some big red flags here. And as the crew begins to vacate the horizon, Peters is struck with another vision of hers, on which her son is on the ship again. She begins to chase her son all around the ship at this point, having climbed up a ladder, running after her son, and then she falls down pretty much a chute all the way down into the grav core section, which is probably 60 to 80 feet. It looks a lot. She's dead. She pretty much ragdolls the whole way down. And then we are given another flashback from Dr. Weir, who comes upon her body in the gravity core at this point. And this is where we're given the full detailed flashback of who Claire is. It seems that that's Dr. Weir's wife, and it's shown that she actually slit her wrists in the tub, and that's why we've been seeing all these past visions of her. And at this point, Dr. Weir pretty much maims his own face, fast travel a little bit forward, and it shows him basically putting a bomb aboard the Lewis and Clark, to which Miller warns Smitty to get out of there, but Smitty does not get out of there in time, and we lose Smitty. Smitty blows up. It's over for him, and this all sends Cooper, flying off into space, because he was on the hull of the ship at the time, blows him off into space, and then he tries to purge his air tank in an attempt to at least get back to the horizon, instead of just being blown out there like the movie Gravity. But shortly after, we get an eyeless Dr. Weir tossing DJ about medical, basically just tossing him left and right like a rag doll, and then he pretty much stabs him, and Miller's running in to try and save him because he's seeing all of this on the cam. And when Miller gets there, what we see happen to DJ is just vicious. It's some next level stuff there. It's pretty good. Good special effects there. And Miller is just furious. So now it's a fight. He's searching all over the ship to find him, but he ends up finding Stark instead. Helps her come to, and at this point, you get the reveal from Dr. Weir, and he's full, gone. His eyes are all, looks like they're both stitched out. I don't know if he slashed them out or took them out, but he says the epic line, "Where we're going, we won't need eyes to see." And, Miller's like, "Oh my God." And pretty much at this point, he explains that the ship is alive. It went to some place of pure chaos and evil, to which he plans to return, claiming that Miller and Stark are now going to be the new crew to replace the old crew that is since gone. Miller protests. Stark rushes at Dr. Weir. Dr. Weir gets her gun to which Cooper then flies in and smashes into the windshield of the Event Horizon, to which a blind Dr. Weir decides it's smart to shoot at, puncturing the windshield, causing the vacuum of space to then just tear up the ship. And this is one of the best parts, because he's just getting ragdolled about. He gets thrown about the ship and pretty much sucked out into the void of space, it seems. And at that point, Stark and Miller gather themselves. They get out of there and manage to get into an airlocked room. And they get reunited back with Cooper, who actually managed to get back on the ship. And at this point, they all make the plan now to blow the rest of the ship up and get to the front of the ship in the lifeboat. So it's at this point that the ship is pretty much, it's gone full alive at this point. It's spewing blood everywhere. It's gone full to shining. You're seeing, pools of blood, waves of blood flying at people. Miller's seeing hallucinations of that same flaming old friend of his, which actually turns out to be Dr. Weir, who says that he can't die. Like he told him, the ship is obviously going to bring him back. And Miller and Dr. Weir have another confrontation at this point, to which Dr. Weir shows him, or says he's going to show him, where the ship has been. Grabs his skull, and then you get a bunch of flashes, like strobe-like almost visions of where the ship has been. And this is a really cool part that I like, because you see like glimpses of just some real grotesque, like some almost like hell type stuff, like Dante's Inferno type. It's hard to describe, but I like what they're doing there, and I wish they did more of that, in my opinion. But anyway, Miller manages to get off of Dr. Weir and actually grabs the detonator, blows up the whole ship, blows himself up, and destroys Dr. Weir, destroys the Event Horizon, killing himself, but saving Cooper, Stark, and miraculously Justin, who was still alive but seriously injured aboard the ship. And now, fast forward 72 days later, the remaining lifeboat of the Event Horizon is found by another USAC search and rescue vessel, and they find the remaining crew of the Lewis and Clark in the cryopods, the three of them, Cooper, Stark, and Justin, to which they awaken Stark, and she begins to have vicious hallucinations again, and you can just tell her mental state is not going to be there. The ship is definitely, it's done stuff to her. And that's pretty much the end of the movie. And I'd have to say, this is one of my favorite horror sci-fi movies. I really like the concept. I really like the cast, the acting, the utilization, the gore, the special effects, the blood that they use is that really dark, like 80s, 90s blood. The graphics are kind of that 80s. It's 97, but it has more of a late 80s vibe, I would say. Same with the blood. The outfit design is a very, like, Vietnam War era flight suit. And the ship is very analogous, the Lewis and Clark, while the Event Horizon is kind of distinct in its own design, where it's very, how would I describe it? Very round, and then it has like spikes and stuff. Like the gravity core room is well designed, the different chambers and stuff. It's got a lot going for it, for its own original movie. I think it did a good job with the story that it had. I like the ship design. I like the name of the ship, the Event Horizon. It's cool to see, Sam Neill as the villain, having grown up with him as Dr. Alan Grant in Jurassic Park. It's crazy to see him. I didn't see this movie till I was way older, so to see him as the bad guy is just a complete different switch, honestly. But aside from that, like I said, it's got a good cast, and I think all of their acting was believable, from the bottom guy all the way up to Lawrence Fishburne. And now, if I was going to go over the cons of the movies, I don't really have many. I would have liked to see more of where, the ship went to the hell or whatever. but I think they honestly left that out and gave you bits and pieces because that's what makes the movie good. It makes you want to go back and watch more of it because you only get glimpses into hell. You never get the full picture, so you're always left wondering. And I like that. And then the other thing is I could say it could have been longer, I guess, but also that's minor gripe. I think that's really just me really liking the movie, wanting to see more of it. I could have done with, more walking around the ship, more jump scares, more gore, all that good stuff. And then my thoughts on the movie. I'd like to see a sequel, honestly. It's been almost 30 years since the movie came out, and the concept I think is great. I'd like to see a sequel, maybe going where the ship went, just showing that whole hellscape, or even just seeing a reboot, just the same concept revisited again with that same old gore. I think it's a great movie. I think it's a must-see classic for anybody who likes horror movies, anybody who likes sci-fi movies. It's just a good original movie, in my opinion. And I wouldn't trust the Rotten Tomatoes rating on that one. But, yeah, that's it. Event Horizon, guys. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And stay tuned for more content.